Good evening, everyone. It is Wednesday, July 16. We're here again for another Jesus Short. I hope you're enjoying these. To me, they're priceless. They're a whole lot of information packed in supposedly 4 to 5 minutes, but sometimes the speaker gets a little wordy. But I hope you're enjoying them. Tonight, we're going to talk about the third feast day in the fall, which is Sukkot, which is the Feast of Tabernacles, or like Isaiah 7 says, that he is Emmanuel, God with us. Because if you go back, and I don't know if you saw this, but about 9 months ago, I taught on what the entire purpose of in the menorah, and how in December on our calendar, for Hanukkah, when the Maccabees took back the temple from Antiochus Epiphanes did the abomination of desolation, and the priests had to purify the sanctuary so that they could hold a service there. Well, they didn't have any oil because they hadn't been in power for a long time. And so they had enough for one day, and that's all God needed. He doesn't need much to create a miracle. And so he took they took that one day's worth of oil, they poured it into the bowls, and it lasted 8 days. And then and that's why it's a 9-branch menorah. And the cool thing about it is, what does it represent? Well, it represents Jesus, because you may not remember this, but if you look, we always want, there's always a debate in the Christian community about Jesus' birthday being Christmas. Well, it's not. But if you look when he was crucified, we know when that was. That's in 32 AD. That's the third week of March. You go back, if you go back to when he was actually crucified, would have been in the feast. Well, no, it would have been in Sukkot. And then you go back to in Sukkot. It is God with us, and it is so beautiful, because if you go back from there 40 weeks, which is the term of pregnancy, you go all the way back, and guess what it lands on? Hanukkah. So the Hanukkah menorah represents the Holy Spirit giving the seed of God to Mary, and then 10 months later, during Sukkot, God with us, Jesus is born. You can't make this stuff up. And if there isn't a God, then I don't know who put this all together, because it's perfect. Okay, Leviticus 23. The Lord said to Moses, "Say to the Israelites, on the 15th day of the 7th month, on the Lord's festival of tabernacles begins, and it lasts for 7 days. The first day is a sacred assembly. Do no regular work. For 7 days present food offerings to the Lord. On the 8th day, hold a sacred assembly and present a food offering to the Lord." Seeing God is God, doesn't have to eat. It's a picture symbol of us when we're in heaven with God. We don't need to eat, we get to eat. We won't be eating to sustain ourselves. We'll be eating because it's enjoyable. And everything will be, I won't need any ketchup. Sukkot, also known as the Feast of Tabernacles or the Feast of Booths, because that's when God commanded Moses that they would build these little temporary shelters so that would remind them that they slept under the stars in the Sinai. It is a Jewish holiday celebrated for 7 days, starting on the 15th day of the 7th month. Commemorates the harvest and the Israelites wandering in the desert, marked by the construction of temporary huts called sukkahs, where people eat and sometimes sleep during the festival. They almost always sleep there. So I hope that makes sense. Every one of God's feast days had a purpose, every one a teaching purpose, and a special religious purpose to draw you closer to God and to show He is who He says He is. So please share our information on streetlightgr.com, Facebook, YouTube at Streetlight Bible Study 4006. And again, remember to be a blessing to everyone and be blessed. Thank you for tuning in. See you in another week.